The rain poured relentlessly, turning the streets of the abandoned town of Black Hollow into muddy streams. Elliot adjusted the camera on his shoulder while Maya held a recorder, her eyes scanning the dark facade of Black Hollow Elementary School. The building, once a place of learning and laughter, was now shrouded in an aura of desolation. The broken windows looked like empty eyes, and the wind whistled through them like a lament. "Do you feel anything?" Elliot asked, his voice echoing in the damp silence. Maya closed her eyes for a moment, her hand lightly touching the rusted door. "Yes. There's a lot of pain here. Children. They're still here." Elliot, ever the skeptic, frowned. "Let's see what we find inside." Pushing the creaking door open, they were greeted by a dark, damp hallway. The floor was littered with scattered papers and broken furniture. The rain tapped on the roof, creating a rhythmic beat that seemed to speed up as they moved forward. Suddenly, the sound of children's laughter echoed through the hallway. Elliot stopped, his camera trembling slightly. "Did you hear that?" Maya nodded, her face pale. "They're watching us." As they explored the classrooms, Elliot and Maya found disturbing evidence. Blackboards were scribbled with messages like, "I can't leave," and "Find me." In one of the rooms, Maya stopped abruptly, grabbing Elliot's arm. "Someone's here," she whispered. Before Elliot could respond, a chair flew toward him on its own, nearly hitting him. He stumbled back, his skepticism beginning to crack. "That's not possible." Maya looked toward the corner of the room, where a small, translucent figure appeared briefly before vanishing. "They're scared. Something is keeping them trapped here." The two decided to split up to cover more ground. Elliot went to the gym, while Maya headed upstairs to the second floor. In the gym, Elliot found an old basketball rolling toward him on its own. When he picked it up, he heard a faint voice. "Help us." Meanwhile, Maya, on the second floor, found a room filled with dozens of backpacks scattered on the floor, as if the children had vanished in the middle of class. She felt a strong presence behind her and turned to see a ghostly girl with empty eyes and a soaked dress. "Did you come to free us?" the girl asked, her voice echoing in Maya's mind. Reuniting in the lobby, Elliot and Maya compared notes. "There's something here that doesn't want us to leave," Maya said, still shaking from her experience on the second floor. Elliot showed her the footage he had captured, shadows moving, objects shifting on their own, and, in one frame, the face of a child briefly appearing behind him. "We need to figure out what happened here." They found a locked door at the end of the hallway with a rusted sign that read, "Basement." Using a tool, Elliot forced the lock. As they descended the stairs, they were met with a nauseating smell of mold and something else. Something organic. In the basement, they found a room with strange symbols painted on the walls and extinguished candles. In the center was a circle drawn on the floor, with names scrawled around it. Maya read them aloud. "Sarah, Michael, Emily." She paused, recognizing the names of the children who had disappeared decades ago. Suddenly, the candles lit on their own, and the laughter of children filled the air. Elliot shouted, "Maya, we need to get out of here!" But the stairs disappeared, trapping them in the basement. The ghostly girl Maya had seen earlier reappeared, along with other children. They whispered in unison, "You need to free us." Maya, tears in her eyes, asked, "How?" The girl pointed to a chest in the corner of the room. Elliot opened it and found a journal. In its pages, he read about a teacher who had performed dark rituals with the children, trapping their souls in the school after their deaths. "We need to break the ritual," Maya said, determined. The basement was now enveloped in an almost tangible darkness, broken only by the flickering light of the candles. The ghostly children formed a circle around Elliot and Maya, their empty eyes fixed on them. The girl in the soaked dress whispered, "He's coming." Elliot quickly flipped through the journal, finding a page that described the ritual the teacher had used to bind the souls. "Here," he said, showing Maya. "He used a personal item from each child to trap them here. We need to find those items and destroy them." Maya nodded, but before they could act, a deep voice echoed through the basement. "You shouldn't be here." From the shadows emerged the figure of a tall, gaunt man in a tattered suit, his face twisted with malice. It was the teacher, or what was left of him. His eyes glowed with a sinister light, and his outstretched hands looked like claws. "You won't take what's mine," he snarled, lunging toward them. Maya raised her hands, trying to connect with the children. "We need help," she shouted. The ghostly children began to whisper, their voices merging into a haunting chorus. The teacher hesitated, as if held back by an invisible force. Elliot took advantage of the distraction and ran to the chest, where he found a small box filled with objects: a hair ribbon, a toy car, a broken doll. "Maya, catch!" He threw the box to her. Maya grabbed the box and began breaking the objects one by one, shouting, "You're free!" Each destroyed object caused one of the children to vanish, their expressions changing from fear to relief. The teacher roared in anger, struggling against the force holding him. "No, they're mine." When the last object was destroyed, the children disappeared completely, and the teacher began to disintegrate. His form dissolved into a dark mist, and an agonized scream echoed through the basement before silence returned. The candles went out, and darkness filled the basement. Elliot and Maya stood still for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. "I think we did it," Elliot said, his voice still shaky. Maya nodded, but her expression was somber. "They're finally at peace." Suddenly, the stairs reappeared and daylight began to filter into the basement. Elliot and Maya climbed the stairs, finding the school now silent and empty, as if the weight of the trapped souls had been lifted. As they stepped outside, the rain stopped, and a ray of sunlight broke through the clouds. Elliot looked at Maya, a look of relief on his face. "I think we need a break from abandoned towns for a while." Maya laughed, but she knew deep down that they would continue seeking answers to the mysteries that haunted the world. Back in the car, Elliot flipped through the journal again, finding one last entry he hadn't noticed before. It was a message written by the children. "Thank you for setting us free." He closed the journal and looked at Maya. "I guess we'll need some time away from abandoned places for a while." Maya smiled, but she knew they would keep searching for the truth behind the world's mysteries.